Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Excellence. I'm your host, Todd Baldwin, and today we have Matthew Efird, the owner of Lighting Pros, and Matthew's also a Mosquito Joe franchisee owner. Matthew, how's it going today?
Good, Todd, man. I thank you for having me. It's truly my honor.
No, you bet, man. I've been looking forward to having you on. It's as we were just chatting, it's 4th of July week. 4th of July is on Saturday, so short week. But glad you made some time to be on the show. So let's dive in. For those that don't know you, Matthew, or just hearing about you, tell us where you're from, what your current businesses are, and what all areas do you serve?
Yeah, so Matthew Efird, I'm unapologetically a follower of Jesus Christ. Had the incredible opportunity to marry my high school sweetheart. We've got 4 amazing boys, an 8-year-old, a would-be 6-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old. I've got 3 businesses that I run, an outdoor lighting company called Lighting Pros, an outdoor pest control company called Mosquito Joe, and an outdoor lighting franchise organization where we actually franchise Lighting Pros and we help others get into an owner-operator setting where they're launching a lighting business in their area. And my day-to-day looks a lot of the local operations of our Mosquito Joe and Lighting Pros I'm out of. We have leadership that does an incredible job managing those. I help give strategic oversight and vision to those organizations. Right now, I speak a lot at events, at corporate retreats, come in, do some immersive leadership development experiences with teams that are wanting to create leaders that are worth following, really looking at a empathetic leadership. How do we take the things that make us human and apply them as leaders to help engage with the folks that we lead better? So that's what I spend a lot of my time on, and then supporting our franchise locations and helping that expand.
Man, that's awesome. There's a lot to unpack there. I love that you said you're basically working on the businesses now versus in the business. And it sounds like really doing a lot of things that you have a lot of passion about, right? You're speaking
Yes.
engagements and
Definitely didn't start that way. But
well, we're going to dive into that. Yeah. I know every entrepreneur they don't start where they want to be, right? They're usually grinding away, which is kind of before we dive into that past. So you've got Mosquito Joe, which is a pest control, Lighting Pros, and then Lighting Pros franchise side. So how do all these pieces fit together?
Yeah, so I came across Mosquito Joe. My wife and I started looking at business opportunities back in 2016. Started praying together as a couple, kind of looking through like what it looked like for me to leave corporate America and start a business. My brother and I had a landscaping business. We were in high school and felt like I wanted to get back into business ownership. Didn't really know what that looked like. Felt like I needed some support in that. I had the opportunity to go to business school at UGA, graduated with honors there. Love the Terry organization, love UGA, go Dogs. But really, there's a lot of things I didn't know. I'd been in business development for several years, had an amazing organization I worked with that helped show me a lot of the operations and how sales impacts operations. So I felt better equipped than I would have just coming right out of school. But I was looking for opportunities that were high growth, ability to serve families, and didn't take a ton of capital to expand. And so I found Mosquito Joe. They were winning a whole bunch of awards, and they continue to win awards. It's great. But it was a way for us to serve families to pretty rapid growth they were experiencing in the outdoor pest control space. And it didn't take a lot of capital to expand, to put another route that's producing revenue. It doesn't take a lot from my pocketbook. It's not I'm putting down a $4 million store, right?
Sure.
I'm actually taking a vehicle and driving it to customers' houses. So that was our first business. At the time, the hole that Mosquito Joe had in it was they were just doing general pest control outside, which is a spring, summer, early fall business. It's not a winter business. And so I started doing Christmas lights. Our team started doing Christmas lights the following year after we started. And it was just a way for us to keep our employees engaged in employment year round.
Sure.
That I didn't like the perspective of a seasonal business or a lifestyle business. Neither one of those fit with me. I was a young entrepreneur. I had expenses I had to pay all year round. I knew that my team members would have to pay that as well. And I wanted to find good people. And so
Right.
I thought if we're hiring seasonally, it's really going to impact our ability to build a good, cohesive team that leads well. So we immediately started doing Christmas lights as a way to bridge that gap in the winter, and it took off. Todd, it was a huge blessing. We were doubling and tripling year over year. It was very chaotic, very challenging to do. Lots of lessons we learned along the way. I'm sure we can get into if you want to, but mainly we learned that they eventually needed to stand on their own. So both of them do share some resources, just like office space, right? And some of our key staff will support between the
Sure.
two of them. But both of them now operate all year round. So we do general pest control, Mosquito Joe now. So you think about you're just kind of general pest control person doing termites, home pest, as well as outdoor pest control. That's us. We just do it all outside. We don't have to bring things inside the home, which is pretty innovative, really fun to be able to serve families well there. That business operates all year round. And in the outdoor lighting space, we do temporary Christmas lights, permanent holiday lights, and landscape lighting. And so our business is framed. We do about 60%, or excuse me, about 80% commercial. And so those clients we work with all year round. And again, that business stands on its own now, which is really cool.
Yeah, the seasonal business is really challenging. It's cool that you were able to find solutions, right, to have those businesses now operate year round. When
Yeah, the
we
thing that we see a lot of
uh-huh.
people that make the mistake that I see a lot is they have Matthew's Landscaping, right? Ours used to be called M&M Landscaping for Matthew and Michael. So we had M&M's Landscaping. If we would have had that and we'd have said, okay, we don't cut grass, we don't do landscaping projects in the winter when the grass stops growing. If we were looking for another business, we could say, oh, we can hang Christmas lights because it's a pretty easy business to get into, low barrier to entry. On the commercial side, it's a lot more difficult, but on just the general homeowner side, it's pretty easy. It's very popular now. There's all different business models that support it. But what happens is now it's M&M's Landscaping that's doing Christmas lights. So there's a confusion of the brands ultimately.
Yeah.
Ours happened out of a necessity. We had to separate the two brands out of respect for Mosquito Joe, right? I had to honor the FDD that I signed. I could not have any other services that were not outdoor pest control in that business. I could not use that brand for any other things that were just Mosquito Joe. And I needed to honor that. I'm a man of integrity and wanted to do that. But also, I had a legal standing to be able to do that, right? But then what I found almost 10 years later now is it was an incredible blessing because it got us in different rooms as a lighting outdoor expert rather
Sure.
than a mosquito expert that just happens to do something in the winter.
Yeah.
It just put us in a pretty unique perspective.
You're an expert in two different fields now, right? So the pest control, which is interesting, it's all outdoor, and then the whole lighting side. I'm curious if we rewind the clock a little bit. When we did I always do a little prep call before we hop on and record the podcast. But you had mentioned you started your career working in a church and then moved into sales. So I'm just curious, what did that season teach you about people, leadership, and business?
Yeah, man, it's a great question. The main thing, one of the things that I learned so much in that um, is that everybody in our organization is an individual first, right? A lot of times as leaders, we look at them and we see, okay, if I hire somebody, they can bring in this amount of revenue, or they can do these projects for me, or they can take these things off my plate. All those things are true, and they should be. You don't run a nonprofit, you run an organization that should be producing profit that supports your family, that gives back to the community, and it elevates all of your staff. That's what your business should be doing. If it's not, you got other issues, but that's what your business should be doing. In that, what we found was, okay, but all of my staff, they're with us 40 to sometimes 50 hours a week, depending on the season. But outside of that, the other 128 hours, they're a human being, right?
Sure.
They clock in, they clock out, but they go home. They have lives outside of that. That's what I learned as a pastor, somebody who spent time working in a church and in sales, carried that over into my sales organization to say, or when I worked in business development, was to just engage with people and not try to manipulate them, not try to overlook them, but engage with the person that's right in front of me.
Sure.
And so I'm a pretty good networker. That's a learned skill that I've done. And I think that's a big way that I've done that is I've leveraged the ability to connect one-on-one with somebody just
Sure.
because I believe that they have inherent value because I believe that they were designed by God. That's my personal belief. So it impacts the way that I interact with people. It also showed me the value of clear communication between team members, defining organizations, trying to define roles within an organization. Hey, here's where I think it could be, but I got to be really clear of here's where it is right now. I saw that done really poorly in some organizations I was a part of. I did that really poorly early in our business. I'm a big dreamer. And so I would have people on our team like, hey, I know it's this right now, but let me talk about the future. Let me talk about the future. Let me talk about the future. That's
You're
great.
natural. You're a visionary. I call them
I am.
visionaries.
Yeah. And I'm natural and I fall into that and I thrive in that. But also there is a come to reality perspective of we see great things for you. We have opportunities as our business grows. Here's the trajectory we've been on over the past. Here's where we're going. But you need to know that this big role that you're praying for, that you're trying for, this may be 2 years from now.
Sure.
This is not a 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now. And in trying to be more and more transparent and say, this is where I think we're going. This is where I'm trying to get to. Along the way, we will learn as we go. But ultimately, right now, the role that I'm hiring you for, the role that you're in, here's the parameters around that role. Here's what we can afford to pay. Here's what the day-to-day looks like. I know that you have aspirations for more, and I think that's great. I want to help put a plan together in place that helps us get there. So help me help you. If
Help me
we
help
work
you.
together,
Yeah.
in growing this together, you can help create roles that you want. So we've got folks in our organization, amazing leaders. They came in, they said, hey, I'm here. I want to work hard. I want to prove myself, but I want you to know like this is not the role that I want.
Right.
I want that next role. Great. Amazing. I cannot wait for you to be in that role. But here's some things we've got to do to get there, right? Like I know you want my role, like our general manager. Amazing, amazing individual. He came to us early and said, hey guys, I want to lead. Great. Right now I'm leading. So we got to replace me. That means we got to grow this business in a way that allows me to go into something else and you to take in and step into this role, be mentored, be discipled, be molded into continue to learn and grow as a leader because we all can. That's kind of the approach that we've taken.
I love that approach. I love that your people are able to grow into roles that they really have passion about because the idea is to get everybody in the right seat, right? And so they're to see, and they're doing things that they really love to do and things that they don't like to do. There's probably someone who really likes to do those things. If you can just find those people and get them into those seats. I'm curious about Mosquito Joe because that was the first business that when you got back into an entrepreneur, right? Being an entrepreneurship, Mosquito Joe was the first jump back into the arena, which by the way, congratulations for leaving or having this courage to leave corporate America and start a job or start a new chapter in buying a business, being an entrepreneur. I have so much respect for entrepreneurs. If you're listening to my podcast, I probably say this 90% of the time, but everybody always wants to be an entrepreneur until it's time to jump, right?
Yeah.
Jump
Amen
off the
to that.
cliff, I like to say, right? And so, because it's scary, and especially the more you're in that corporate America and having success, you know, everybody has a lifestyle, and it's hard to turn back the clock and really start over because that's what you're doing, in my opinion, when you take on a new business. But you told me when y'all were vetting franchises and so forth, you made I think around 100 exploratory calls, right, with other owners. And so, what were you trying to learn before you made the jump?
Yeah, I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
Right. So I had seen Mosquito Joe on all of these lists. I didn't go through like a franchise broker. I didn't go through a business consultant. I know a lot of people get into a franchise space that way. That's not me. I'm one to just make the call. I'll
Yeah.
just call somebody and talk. And so I called Mosquito Joe corporate and just started talking to them. Hey, this is kind of where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is the time frame that I want to buy a franchise. I would like to know more about yours. And so we tried the service, loved it. It works incredible. It's a great experience. Young kids wanted to play outside. Like, we want to be outside. We
Sure.
want to have, they've got some proprietary, we as Mosquito Joe have some proprietary products. We've got some natural products. We've got some great things that we do. It's really cool. And I tried other services. The customer service experience was subpar, to say the least. And I felt like this could be done in a better way. I love the brand. I love the support on the marketing side. I love the support on all of the things that I didn't know. I knew enough of myself to know there's a lot of things I don't know. And so that's what kind of drew me to the franchise space initially, was to say, there's a lot of resources that I need, and I'm willing to give up some long-term kind of equity in my royalties that can help me do that.
Sure. What did you hear? What did you hear from these owners that help you decide, hey, this is a right opportunity?
Yeah, so it was a lot of, hey, the service works, the numbers work, the growth is there, the support system is there, the franchise community is really strong. It's definitely changed in the almost 10 years I've been a part of it, right? As any organization goes through. But of those 100 calls, I had at least over half of them respond back in a very positive way that gave me significant amount of time. And so I may have called 100 offices. Not everybody responded. I think it was in the 70 range, but effectively men and women around the country had no clue who I was. But they're like, yeah, we love this brand. We love what we're doing. We love how we're serving families. It's transformed our family with the finances. It's transformed our community in the way that we serve. Mosquitoes are the deadliest animal in all of the world. It's the deadliest thing in all of the world. In terms of number of people it kills, it's more than humans. It's more than sharks. It's more than it's crazy. We don't get a lot of that in the States, but we do have some disease vectors that do come up. And
Sure.
so there's a public health part of what we're doing. But just in general, it fits in my personal mission, which is serving families. And so it was a lot of that. I wanted to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. The thing that consistently came up is we don't know what to do with staff in the off season. We got to figure out what to do. At the time, Mosquito Joe did not want to do general pest control. They just want to do mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, and fire ants. And so that's kind of the core of the business, is those four. And there were two guys, one in Texas and one, I think, in Kentucky, that I talked to that were doing Christmas lights, and they were super new in it. And they're like, hey, we're trying this thing. We think it kind of fits well in what we're doing, but we're just kind of trying it. And I said, great. I feel like I can do that too. And so it wasn't my idea, just to be really clear. Christmas lights was not my idea, but we took that advice, ran with it, tried it, failed a lot along the way, and learned a lot along the way. So it was a lot of, here's what we like about the organization. We got a lot of support. We like the direction it's going. The normal nuance of their structure in place, sometimes that can be frustrating. That didn't really give me cause for concern because I was buying into a franchise. So I wanted structure there. But the numbers made sense for me.
What are some of those early lessons you learned? You mentioned a lot of mistakes, a lot of lessons. Anything jump to mind that, hey,
yeah, man,
I don't know this now, or what I knew.
Yeah. So one of the things, like, I'm 10 years into my entrepreneurship journey, and I still work with my board of advisors, and they challenge me once a quarter to delegate something else. Early on, I did two things really poorly. I did not have a true assessment of what I was good at and what I was not good at. And so I got into doing things like managing the finances. That is not my skill set, and has caused issues along the way with cash flow and different things in our business that I did not manage well. I needed better people in those roles, which we have and have had for years, which is I'm very thankful for. I also was not a very good delegator. I was a very good dumper. I dumped projects on people really well because that's the way that I like to be led. I don't like people to hold my hand. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I
Right.
want to see the future as a visionary and go create it.
Right.
I cannot stand for somebody to give me a playbook and say, no, just follow the process. Just go one play after the next to that level. I didn't want that. And so a lot of times early on when I would have team members, I would say, hey, this is what I want done. There was no like, can you tell me what you just heard me say? Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Can you give me clarity around what you're going to do? What are the action items you're going to do? What's the timeline, right? Basic delegation principles. I didn't have a lot of patience for that, just being honest.
Sure.
It was probably a patience thing for me of I told you what I want you to do. You should be able to figure it out. I'm paying you to figure this out. Go figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah.
That's a pretty poor way to lead. And early on in our business, we had really good people that came and went. And I think part of that is, again, I believe God called them in other places, which is great. And I think part of that is me. I still needed to grow as a leader. Um, so those are a couple of things that I wish I would have known earlier for sure.
I think we're always learning, and when it comes to leadership too. I mean, I've been doing this a long time and being a business owner, but I was smiling because some of those things you mentioned resonate with me because I can be the same way. So you have Mosquito Joe's, and then you come upon this Christmas lighting idea from a couple other franchisee owners, right? And so, how did both of those, right, those two ideas and operating those, how did that turn into what Lighting Pros is today?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We started with how do we just keep our Mosquito Joe staff busy?
Right.
So when I first went into Lighting Pros, it was we feel like we've got this kind of golden goose egg with Mosquito Joe. And I want to do everything I can to support Mosquito Joe. And that was I've got to keep staff busy for about 12 weeks. I need the work and revenue to support about 12 weeks of off season for us here in the Georgia area,
Sure.
outside of Atlanta. And that's kind of what I needed to solve. The lights solved it immediately. It was like the perfect solution. We went from 12 to 13 weeks of downtime to something like 2 weeks, 10 days, 8 days, maybe. Pretty great solution. Wasn't perfect, but it was really good. But then what happened is that business grew so fast. We did such a good job. Again, customer service piece matters tremendously.
Sure.
The business models are different. I'm sending in Mosquito Joe world in the outdoor pest control space, I'm sending one technician to a property for 15 to 20 minutes. In the lighting space, I may be sending a crew of 4 people to a property for a week. They're very different. Those business models are very, very different. And so that led us to, we do hire temporary staff on the lighting side, but we really struggled with the middle management leadership model of how do we get beyond me leading a crew? How do we get beyond my brother who works in the business leading a crew? How do we get beyond our technician manager of Mosquito Joe, get beyond him leading a crew? Like, how do we build this beyond 2 or 3 crews? And that's been the ultimate challenge in the business, which I think most any entrepreneur faces, right? Like, how do we get this beyond what I can just do myself?
Yeah, no, and those are good challenges to have because if you're growing and you have business, I always feel like that's a good problem to have. I've got too much business where I need to hire more staff. I need to figure out. It might even be temporary staff. It may even be contractors. I love contractors.
Yeah.
Because typically what I've found, if you get the right person and the contractor, and they may be working full time, but they're still a contractor. But they act as if they're a full-time employee. Perfect example. I had a contractor worked with me for years. He'd ask me if he could take time off. I'm like,
Wow.
you do whatever you want
Yeah, you
because
do whatever you want, man. Yeah.
yeah, you could have all next week off. But I just thought it was so respectful that he would ask me like, hey, is it okay? And because in his mind, yes, contractor, but hey, I'm full
He's
time.
part
You
of
know,
the team.
I like
Yeah.
what I do. You're part of the team, and I treat him like a team. He's part of our team, our website, team photo and all that jazz. So lighting pros today, just so our listeners know, it's a full service outdoor lighting company. Is
Yeah.
that
So
correct?
we've got crews that run all year round.
Okay,
And so we started early in the process learning that actually our Mosquito Joe is going to support lighting pros. So the
you already had
finances were very different.
Yep.
The growth opportunity, the overall lighting, it just fit our business a lot better than just the pest control space.
What's your
Uh,
ideal client or homeowner for the lighting side?
yeah, so on the lighting side, again, we do about 80% commercial, and
Okay, it's
so
commercial. Okay, it's not residential.
yeah, so we do
Okay,
about 80/20
okay,
commercial to residential. So different than Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe is like 95 to 97% residential versus
sure.
commercial. So we didn't like cross blend market our mosquito customers, right? It wasn't like, hey, we're going to have all these mosquito customers or outdoor pest control customers and then say, oh, we actually do, our sister company does outdoor lighting. We didn't do any of that. It was more of, we're going to get in. So we work with a lot of cities, hospital systems, hotel chains. That's kind of our sweet spot. One of our big brands is Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A is a great organization. Love the things they stand for, and they make some good chicken. But we work with a lot of those operators. Work with the Ritz-Carlton, work with several hospital systems. On the homeowner side, typically what we find in our business, we work with a lot of business owners because they have a really immense trust level in, no, they have a really immense expectation in the quality of experience, right? They're trading money for time. They can do this work, but they don't want to. So a lot of times that is kind of our ideal customer is your business owner that is, I don't want to have to worry about climbing on a ladder, putting lights up. I don't want to worry about, putting the shrubbery lights out. We just put a pool in. I want some lighting back there. So we've got a lot of partnerships with pool builders and builders and renovators and fencing companies that do some incredible work, and then we come in and help support them and say, hey, we're install lights, and that way you can, this beautiful thing that you just built, this really nice fireplace and fire pit and all that stuff that's really pretty, now they can actually enjoy it all year round and enjoy it outside.
Most of is the lighting work. It's all outdoor though, correct?
Yeah. So we're all outside. We've got a couple of our select clients that we do some interior decorating for, but it has to be a client that we're already doing outside work for. And we take those on one-on-one basis. Man, a lot of times I love chasing revenue. I love it. I'm a salesman at heart. I love chasing revenue. We have made so many mistakes along the way of having our core business that we can crush. We know our numbers. We know our margins. We can do this really well. And then we get asked by a client, oh, can you also do blank? And for years, especially when I was in operations, my response would be, yeah, of course we can. We'll figure it out. Because we can figure it out. But it's going to be painful to figure out. And it's probably
Sure.
not going to be profitable to figure it out.
Sure.
And so if we can figure it out, can we then make it profitable and systematic and reproducible down the road? Or is this a one-time custom project that looks cool on the website, but we actually don't want to ever sell that project again? So we don't want any pictures on the website, right?
Yeah.
That we made so many mistakes on. And so in our business, we focus on 3 types of outdoor lighting: temporary Christmas lights, permanent holiday lights, and landscape lighting. So on the landscape lighting, we started getting asked day one about landscape lighting. And we said no for 2.5 years until we could get that under control of what we could actually give out to the market. And then out the permanent holiday lights, those are bigger out west. They're coming into Texas. I know they've got a huge presence now in Georgia. We've helped with that, which has been really cool. But it's a light that gets installed in a track system around the house or around the business. It stays up all year round. You have an app, you can control it. You can pick any color scheme you want to. You can set it to music. You can make it chase around the building. You can change each individual light. There's a lifetime warranty. Unbelievable product.
They look pretty cool.
We spent 3.5 years testing products. We installed and uninstalled 20 something brands, and we picked one that we love. We've got a backup product if something happens. We got one that we love. That's the conference that we went to.
And what brand is that?
Yeah, it's Gemstone Lighting.
Okay, that's the brand. That's what you install on that permanent side.
So that's the one that we install the most of, and it's a really high caliber, high quality. It's got a true warm white, so it gives you the classic architectural lighting, gives you the classic Christmas look, but also you can do fun things. So like, we're recording this right before 4th of July. We got a lot of property, a button, changing that, celebrating 4th of July, drawing more eyes, Chick-fil-A operators, business owners, taco restaurants, right? Like they're doing all their celebrations this weekend. They're with a click of their business or in their neighborhood, they're celebrating, letting their kids pick the colors and having fun. So that's what we do in our family. Our kids pick the colors and get to celebrate for their birthday, which is fun.
We looked at one for the house. So all that permanent lighting, 80% of it is still commercial. Is that right?
Yeah. So that part of our business is still probably about 80-20.
Okay.
Maybe 75-25, but it's predominantly commercial.
We looked at installing that type of system at our house, but it was a lot more expensive than we anticipated. So we put a pause on it.
Yeah.
I was years ago.
A lot of those, it depends on where you are. Like
Right.
There's some crazy people out there and they're charging crazy
Sure.
numbers.
Yeah.
Some of that's coming down, some of that's coming back to a normal level. But you look at it, so the way that we try to look at it from a customer perspective, right? A lot of times as a business owner, I try to put on my consumer hat a lot. If I'm dreaming up what the future looks like, if I'm reevaluating our services, if I'm reevaluating our overall team, anything like that, we always try to kind of put on our customer hat. What does it look like as a consumer? So we love the temporary lighting space. It's great. The numbers are unbelievable. And
Sure.
the service, the quality of service you can provide is second to none. It's an amazing experience, but it's a very limited time. It's a limited time that you can do the work, number one. And number two, that your customers can enjoy the work. And so what we've tried to work really hard to say is, okay, if we're going to do this in a little bit different way, if we're going to give customers an opportunity to enjoy this product or a portion of this product all year round, wouldn't that be really cool? Wouldn't it be really cool for 4th of July, Memorial Day, Easter, Halloween, Thanksgiving, right? You just name a holiday and you can change the lights on your house. So we work with a lot of local businesses. They want to support the local community. They want to change the colors for the Friday night football games. And then the taco place is going to do teal Thursdays. And everybody knows when the teal lights are on, tacos are 50% off or buy one, get one free, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a way to drive community engagement and drive eyeballs to the business. So that's why we've focused a lot more on the commercial side. There's an ROI in the business when they're investing in this. It's kind of more of a marketing expense that's drawing more eyeballs to their business, and it shows that they're wanting to be involved in the community.
No, I like that too. That's a cool thing. Made me think of Krispy Kreme donuts when the sign was lit up.
Oh yeah,
donuts were hot.
Hot sign on. That's right. It's hard to drive by it.
It works though, right? Especially with kids. Dad, the lights on.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the franchise model or your goals there with Lighting Pros, because you're moving into a franchise model there as well.
Yeah, so we started franchising a couple of years ago. We had several people in our network that were reaching out, wanting us to help them start a lighting business. And we helped a few start, said, kind of help me help you. I'm not ready to start franchising yet. We don't have systems in place. We got a lot we need to learn, but I'm happy to help you start this. And we helped get a few locations launched, learned a lot during that process. And then we opened up franchising in 2024, and we have 5 locations.
Awesome.
At one point we had 15 under review, and we pulled way back and we said, look, we're going to real quickly this is not a numbers game for us. This is a long-term play. And we're really going into, we're doing some new things in the outdoor lighting space around ticketed lighting events, which we're really excited about. It's going to be really fun to be able to do. It's a whole new kind of business model, right? Around our business, we say we're hope dealers, not dope dealers, but hope dealers. And we love to create environments outside that families can come together and enjoy and make multi-generational memories. That's our goal as an organization. And
Congrats
so
on,
as a part of that,
go ahead.
we've worked together and we've said, okay, what's another way we can do that? And we understand that the quality of work and the type of materials and the type of displays we do, not every business owner or homeowner can afford to do this. We completely respect that, but they still want to have a fun experience. And so we can put our money where our mouth is. Like, do we actually care about creating environments like this? We do. So we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And we've got some partnerships that are coming up we're going to do this. We're going to bring a ticketed event where they can pay a small ticketed price, and go and experience this amazing walkthrough display with all the fun things and create those memories. So that's what we're doing. And in that is our growth model in our franchise, is that we'll be picking off our other cities as we go in kind of our owner operator model, where we're helping launch these in new locations.
Congrats on realizing, hey, we don't need 15 right now. We're biting off a little more than we can chew, and making sure you've got everything, I guess, in order, and that you can really support those new franchisees. Because you were that guy one time. You were the new one on the block, right? And so some entrepreneurs, they just think go, 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 and get way in over their head. And before they know it, their whole franchise model is a disaster because they didn't take care of the early ones that bought onto their vision, right? And so I love that you were able to pull back. I also loved, you mentioned earlier how it sounded like when Lighting Pros really got going, the goal wasn't, hey, let's just go heavy in residential, try to cross sell our Mosquito Joe. And it sounded like you didn't build a business plan around that model, being able to cross sell, which what I like about that is I think a lot of times business owners make that mistake. Hey, we're already at the home. We can easily do this. Not realizing it's two totally different models, and that fails, right? What they think is going to be easy business, which nothing's easy in business, but an easy add-on isn't so easy. I've seen it so many times. I've been involved in companies that have tried to do that, and it just rarely works like you think it will, right?
It gets really messy really quick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you end up making people mad in one arena, and it ruins them in the other arena.
Yeah. You could have a perfectly happy Mosquito Joe
Yeah.
client that now
Yeah.
becomes very irritated
Correct.
because of the lighting side. I wanted to dive into culture a little bit. And I know when we, on our prep call, and I know this is, you shared something really personal about your son, Noah, and your family's loss and how that changed the way you lead. And so, very sensitive subject, only share what you're comfortable with, Matthew, but I'm just curious, how did that shape you as a business owner? Losing a son, which I can only imagine what that'd be like. I've got 2 kids, and I got choked up when we started talking about this
Sure.
on the prep call, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about that, because it also led to a book and really your passion of what you're doing now.
Yeah. So, thank you, Todd. I appreciate the opportunity to share. My second son, Noah, was diagnosed with a genetic disorder called trisomy 13. It's Patel syndrome. It's very similar to Down syndrome, but it's a lethal diagnosis. So when a child receives that diagnosis, they typically don't go home from the hospital. If it's a not a stillbirth, right? It's a lot of times if they're born at the hospital, you may get some minutes, maybe some hours with them. So young entrepreneur, young dad, I've got a 2-year-old at home, and my second son, Noah, is born March 7th, and he passes March 9th. And man, it just put me in this tailwind as a leader. We learned in September that he was sick. So we had 6 months to grieve, kind of anticipatory grief, like grieving what was coming for our family. And so we've continued to have and been blessed with amazing people in our organization. And I just was real honest with them. In September of 2019, I sat everybody down and I said, we had a small team at the time. And I said, this is the diagnosis I just received like a few weeks ago. This is what it looks like for me and my family. I'm going to pull back some. I'm going to be less available some. I want you to follow the playbook, right? We've been working for a few years, kind of building out our playbook, our operating system, our processes and procedures. And I just said, I want you to try to step into these roles that you're in and lead. And then once a week, we'll regroup and we'll talk about decisions that were made. And if there's things that happened that didn't happen the way I want them to, we'll probably address them at that time. But normally know that I'm going to back your decision and then we can learn from it moving forward. And Todd, what it did was this amazing thing of me as a leader to learn that, hey, there's actually some really good leaders out there that are not named Matthew Efird, right? And we've actually been blessed with several of them in our organization. And it's amazing when they're given the opportunity to lead, they actually want to lead. And so I learned, that was one of the things that I learned. But when Noah passed away, I learned the impact of empathy and the ability to connect with people through that. And so we just started navigating that as a culture within our organization. We had defined our culture early on. We saw like the Ritz-Carlton, we saw Chick-fil-A, we saw some of these incredible flagship brands, like they had core values, they had mission statements, they had vision statements. We had that, but we had not tweaked it. We had not defined it. So after my son passed, we sat down as a leadership team and we said, okay, this is several months after he's passed. We said, well, what are we going to be about as an organization? Like what matters to us? And so we defined our vision statement, which is where we're going. We defined our mission statement, which is how we're going to get there. Then we defined our core values. So what are the things that we're going to hire, fire, and train off of? What are the things that are going to bind us together? What are the non-negotiables in our organization? We need to define those and actually say, like, one of ours is integrity, which is people laugh at when we say that. It's fun. We're going to have integrity. We're going to do the right thing every time, no matter the cost. And we've got some definitions around what that looks like. And when somebody lives in integrity in our business, we celebrate it. Even when somebody messes up, right? But they have integrity, we do celebrate that.
Sure.
And so within our organization, what we said was, okay, if these things matter, we need to talk about them. And we also need to celebrate them. So once a month, we do our all staff day. We bring everybody in from around the state. We do personal development, professional development, company update, individual decisions, individual team time, that if it's a technical piece that you need to work on, establish, grow in. And then we do a culture celebration. And in that culture celebration, it is every manager in an organization is looking for people on their team to live out one of our 5 core values. When they find that, they write that down and they present that, they share that in the company meeting once a month. And it's just hey, Fred, we saw you do this. We caught you doing the right thing, right? So often as leaders, we try to catch people doing the wrong thing, but how often do we not try to catch them doing the right thing?
Love that. Yeah.
And man, it just gave us such clarity around when we hire people, when we need to fire somebody, when it's somebody's time to leave, when we're trying to train somebody or retrain somebody, having that culture card, having that, here's the kind of the keys to excellence. Again, another Ritz-Carlton thing, the golden standards. here's the way that we put this in front of employees. And when they come on with us, they meet with me and they're told, you're going to be with us for a season. My job is to elongate that season as the CEO here. But you need to know that eventually you'll leave here, right? You'll retire. You'll get another job opportunity. You may move across the country, or heaven forbid, you may pass away. But eventually your time working here will end. When we start the conversation that way, it gives us clarity around, but in the gap, in the middle of between when you're starting and when you end, my job is for you to be better when you leave here. So we want to invest in you. That's part of our culture. That's part of our core value. Shared growth, be better today than we were yesterday. That is part of our culture. So we read books, we talk about leadership, we watch podcasts, we do TED Talks. We do these things to better ourselves because we know we can always do better. And it creates an environment and a culture where people want to be a part of.
I bet you it sounds like you have a really cool team. If I had to guess, probably key people when you find that right person are probably with you for a long time.
They have been. Yeah, we got some folks that have been with us for, we've got a couple that have been with us since the beginning, which is amazing. They put up with a lot.
I heard a 10-year run.
But yeah, we've got great people and they are the reason for our success. I learned early on that as a leader, it is my failure and it's our success. It is not my success because we're not here without our team. We are in no way anywhere close to where we are without our team.
Yeah,
and so what I do now a lot is I travel the country and I speak at conferences, I speak at team meetings, retreats, and I do deep dives in on empathetic leadership. So I wrote a book. It's called Even Though We Will. For those that are watching, there's the cover. It is a walk through child loss, but effectively it's looking at grief. So somebody that may be in that season that wants to know more, happy for you to pick it up. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on my website, eventhough.com, or my personal website, MatthewEfird.com. I've got another book coming out about empathetic leadership because, Todd, what happened in 2020, March of 2020, I'm holding my son as he passes away. I'm physically holding him 57 and a half hours after he was born. He took his last breath. 4 years almost to the day, I'm standing on the 50-yard line at the University of Georgia receiving an award. So I'm holding something else. And I'm the 10th fastest growing business founded or managed by a UGA alumni. That growth happened because I sat in that hospital room 4 years earlier. It changed me. It changed me as a leader. It allowed me to show up better. So my son Noah, I'm forever changed because of him. But what I try to encourage leaders around the country and teams around the country is that empathetic leadership is a superpower within organizations that can dramatically change them relationally and financially.
Well, I appreciate you so much sharing that. And it's sorry for your loss. It's
Thank you.
Just heartbreaking. But how to have the strength to move on, carry on, but yet turn it into such a inspiring story is really heartwarming. I've said this so many times, I'm not a professional podcaster at all. I started this really as a love of talking to entrepreneurs and really a way for us to create a lot of cool content because we do work with home service businesses, digital marketing agency around the country. But I've been so inspired talking to all these business owners since January. It's been such a crazy journey. Never know what you're going to run into, but I will say that is one of the, if not the most, one of the most inspiring stories I've heard since January, since I started
Thank
this
you,
podcast.
Todd. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that. Kind of looking forward, what excites you the most, going into, we're halfway through 2026. So let's say next 2 to 3 years, what fires you up the most? Not only with Mosquito Joe's Lighting Pros, but this whole, speaking on empathetic leadership. What
Yeah.
fires?
So in each kind of arena, there's some things that are really fun. So we're building out a business model in Mosquito Joe that we can transform a few key lives and helping us start additional offices in our territories that we own from Mosquito Joe because we're doing general pest control now. And the long-term validity of that is pretty inspiring, which is I'm so excited for. We got some key leaders that are helping us get there. It's a kind of help me help you thing, right? So that's super exciting. On the Lighting Pro side, we've got some incredible locations now that are doing amazing things. And I'm really excited as we get into these like ticketed displays. Again, it's very new for us. And so it's a whole new business model of launching cities and helping them get off the ground very quickly. And so that's really exciting because we can come in kind of as an owner operator or hiring, working with an owner operator in a location and change their family legacy. Um, Super inspiring. And then on the speaking side, man, I get to take teams through. We look at an immersive leadership development experience, and it's trying to create leaders that are worth following. And just like in our business, in any business, it is a crutch that it is a crucial piece of growth is leaders and leadership and really that next leader. Because if the organization's going to grow, it's got to grow, right? If it's going to grow in revenue, it's got to grow in skill set and people. And we can't just run at 110% capacity at all times. We're going to burn everybody out in the organization. We've got to grow roles. We've got to grow responsibilities. We've got to be able to grow into the way that we communicate and articulate and navigate things as leaders that leaders are not prepared for or young leaders are not prepared for. And oftentimes we make the mistake of they were really good at their job, so they should be a really good leader. That's the progression. You know, they were a really good salesperson. They should be the sales manager. They're a really good technician. They should be the technician manager. They're a really good office person. They should be the office manager. It's like,
Most times
well,
that's not right.
normally that's not right. Right. But
Yeah.
if they're in that position, how can we actually serve them? And then, man, I love speaking from stage. I did that for about a decade when I worked in the church. I traveled and spoke at conferences and retreats and getting back into that. I've continued to do that on and off, but not in the clip that I'm doing it right now. And I just feel, as a man of faith, I believe that's where God's called me to. I love speaking on stage. I love sharing. I love sharing about my son Noah, and I love teaching through the hard that was Noah's life and trying to connect with people to help them know that the hard in their life, they can they can find purpose in it and also acknowledge that the team members that they lead, there's going to be hard in their life too. And they can, as a leader, they can have incredible transformation within those individuals, personally and professionally. And in the way that we show up as leaders matters.
100%. How do how do people find you to book you if they want to book you as a speaker or to come in and work with
Yeah.
the team or
Man,
so?
thank you very much. MatthewEfird.com. You can find me there, find all my stuff. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on the social media, but I'm pretty active. My team helps with that. Again, it's another thing I've delegated. Right, I used to think I did a really good job following up with people, and I learned actually I don't really do a good job with that. And so I've got some folks that are helping me with that, which is great. But MatthewEfird.com, you can find our team there. We'd love to know more about the event. If I can be of help with your individual team or conference coming up that you're needing a speaker, I'd be honored to share our story.
Sure. Also just kind of couple follow-up questions, kind of off just I call them kind of off topic of business. Um, I've been asked a lot of my guests about podcasts and so forth because we're doing a podcast, but any podcasts that you like, Matthew, that you listen to, that you'd be willing to share with our listeners that resonate with you? It could be about business, could be about faith, it could be about anything. So Matthew,
Yeah, so I've got my own personal one, so shameless plug there, right?
there you go.
Pillars of purpose. We talk about the intersection of faith, family, and business.
Love it.
I love doing that. I interview great guests like yourself, and we talk about one of those three things or all three things. I love that. I spend a lot of time in the podcasting space. I love comedy podcasts. It's just a niche that I've just found. I love that personally. So I've got a couple that I follow. Net Positives by John Crist. He's a clean comedian, so funny. The Public Figures podcast used to be Nate Land, Nate Bargatze. There's three guys that are on that are fantastic. Dad Feels, another really good one. That's two dads that are best friends. They just talk about life as a dad. It's super funny, but it's got a lot of good heart in it, and I enjoy those a lot. Carrie Newhoff's got a great podcast about leadership and faith. Donald Miller has a great podcast about leadership and marketing. I'll listen to some of Joe Rogan. So I kind of pick and choose podcasts there. And his, the guest interests me. And then I'm trying to think, I mean, I've got a couple other ones that are kind of hit or miss, but those are typically the ones that I listen to on repeat the most.
I had a feeling you'd have a lot of a pretty strong list for us of podcasts. Well, Matthew, man, it's been great just diving in with you, getting to know about your businesses, knowing about your appreciate you sharing so much about your son, and really your passion for speaking and just helping people, right? In that leadership role. I can tell that's really what lights your fire. It gets you excited. And that's cool because we we only go once around this world, and might as well do something you really enjoy and are passionate
Amen.
about.
Amen to
And
that.
not saying I can see passion in Mosquito Joe. I can see passion in the outdoor lighting side, lighting pros. But man, when we talk about you in the leadership role, you just kind of light up. So I appreciate it, man. It's been a great, just great to get to know you and dive in. So I appreciate you so much being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Todd.
You bet. Let's keep in touch. And for all our listeners, if you need some outdoor pest control, Mosquito Joe's, we've got outdoor lighting with lighting pros. And if you need a team to someone to come and really work with your team in leadership role and get them heading in the right direction, Matthew is your guy. So Matthew, take care, man. Have a great 4th of July. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
You too. God bless.
Thank you.